A girl was selling cake when she ends up walking up to a woman and getting her dirty with her cake. She is furious about it and says that the girl had soiled her. The girl then apologizes to the woman and says that she didn't mean to do that, but the woman is still mad at her and says that she was going to a job interview and she had ruined it. The woman says that the girl was getting in the way of her getting a job and that she wasn't going to let that happen. She then soils the girl as well, and then she leaves. Later, another woman arrives and tells him to get out of her way. She says she was going to a job interview and the girl was getting in the way. She then steps on the girl's bread and tells her that she was a useless one who was just getting in the way of others and then leaves. At that moment, a man appears and tells the girl that they were almost done. He then helps the girl to her feet and asks him to hold the tray. He then picks up the sheet he was holding and crosses out the pictures of the women who had passed by. He then hands the tray to the girl and tells her that soon they would be finishing that experiment. He then says that only one woman is missing and then goes in search of another loaf of bread. At this point, the girl starts selling her bread, but ends up bumping into another woman. She then apologizes to her and says she didn't mean to do that. She then says that the girl didn't need to apologize because she knew she didn't mean to do that. The girl then asks her if she would like to buy her bread, but she says that she could not do that as she was going to a job interview, but she really needed the job. She then pulls out a bill of money from her purse and tells her that she could keep that money and the bread, as she knew that the girl must be in dire need of the money. She then wishes the girl good sales. She asks the girl if she had been there for a long time and if she was having a hard time selling her cakes. The girl says that she had been there for a long time, but that she didn't care because she was trying to help her mother who was sick. She says that with the money she would buy the medicine her mother needed. The woman then says that she was very proud of the girl as she was a very good person. She says that now, they were friends and that after her job interview, they could talk more. The girl says she would like that and then the woman leaves. Later, they enter the room and sit down. They then sit down in the chair and the man says that he was waiting for the owner of the residence, because he had an unforeseen event and it would take a while. He then says that in the meantime they could eat that bread and leaves. As he leaves, the woman finds the bills under the plate. They are then surprised by it. She says she would call the man, but the other woman tells her not to. At this moment we see that the man was watching everything they were saying. They then go on to say that it was not necessary to return it. The other woman then says that since the woman didn't want the money, she was going to keep it. The woman then says that it was dishonesty and that the money was not theirs, but the women say that now that money was theirs and that they were going to keep the money. One of them then asks the other woman to split the money with her and then the other woman shares the money with her. At that moment, the man who was watching everything they were doing, takes the sheet of paper again and crosses out the names of the other women and circles the woman's. Later, the man comes back and says that unfortunately they couldn't continue with that interview that day. He says that the owner of the house had called and said that he had a lot of unforeseen events and that he would not be able to be there. He then says that they could set up another day so they can do that interview. This makes them furious, and then the other woman says that she didn't like it. She then starts cursing the man, saying that they were irresponsible because she had organized herself to be able to be there that day and they didn't want to hear about it. The woman then says that she was sorry for what had happened to the man. The woman then says that the man shouldn't worry about what the other women had said about him, as he was a great butler and the owner of that house should be very proud of him for having him as a servant. She then tells him that it was wrong and that he shouldn't worry about what they were saying about him. She then said that she would try to organize herself to go to the next interview, but said that it would be difficult as her mother was very ill and she needed to take care of her. She then said that she would try to go to the next interview and that she hoped they could make a great duo. She then says goodbye to the man, but first she bends down to pick up the bread that the other woman had thrown on the floor. The man tells her that she didn't need to worry about it, because he was going to clean it up. She then says it's okay and leaves. Sometime later, the girl in sight, the woman greets her. She then greets the girl, and at that moment, the girl goes to cross the street, but the woman realizes that a car was coming and rushes to save him. The man then desperately gets out of the car and goes to them to see if something had happened. He then asks the girl if he was okay and then helps the girl and woman up. The woman then hugged the girl and said she was glad he wasn't hurt. The man then tells the woman that he was very thankful that she had helped the girl and that, because of her, he had not been hurt. Meanwhile, the other women were watching everything, and then the man says that even though they saw something that could end in a tragedy, they didn't do anything. The other woman then says that she didn't see the point in risking her own life to save someone else's life and that she would never do that. The other woman then says that she wouldn't risk her life to save the life of a street kid, but the man says that she was mistaken and thought that boy was just a street kid. She is then surprised by that and asks what the man was talking about, and then he says that the boy was his son. The other woman in tone, bursting out laughing, says that he was clearly the son of a servant, but the man says that they were mistaken. He then tells her that he wasn't the butler they thought he was, and this surprises her. He then says that, unlike them, the woman had not stolen from him, and then he asks them to return the money to him. The other woman then returns the money to the man and says she didn't need it. The man then tells the woman that she was a good person and that she was hired because she met all the requirements he wanted. She then thanks the man for the opportunity he was offering her. He said he had realized that the woman had a mother who was very ill and who needed a lot of help. She then says yes, and then, the man says she didn't need to worry anymore. He tells her that she shouldn't worry anymore as he would help her pay for her mother's treatment. This makes her very happy, and then she thanks the man for the help he was giving her. She then says that she had told the man that they were a good pair.